On this week's Rebel Report, the Vegas Golden Knights take a bite out of the Sharks and move on to the third round of the playoffs, the Western Conference Finals. We take you inside T-Mobile Arena for another historic game. Esports is gaining in popularity, and Gamer Ninja competes in a Fortnite match at the Strip's only esports facility. UFC champion Forrest Griffin spent some time with us to tell us about his second career after fighting. Speaking of second careers, we catch up with Mia Bell, former UNLV women's basketball player turned assistant coach, and the crew shows their fumbles and fails from the last season that you won't want to miss. The Rebel Report starts now.
Welcome to the last episode of Season 5 of the Rebel Report, and our last episode in the Rebel Report ever.
No.
Time flies when you're having fun and taping stories, huh, Lupita?
It sure does. I'm going to miss the Rebel Report and the crew and John, and they're going to get to cover the Stanley Cup winners next season, our Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, don't jinx it. They haven't won yet.
I
right?
have a strong feeling.
After the Vegas Golden Knights swept its series with the LA Kings 4-0, it might have come as a surprise when they found themselves tied in a series at 2-2 against the San Jose.
But that wouldn't hold for long. Game 5 turned out to be just the push the Knights needed in the right direction before finishing off the Sharks. I was there to give you guys a recap on anything you might have missed. Game 1 and 2 against San Jose gave us a record-breaking crowd attendance here at T-Mobile Arena. Game 5 gave us yet another one. This massive crowd helped the Knights get a red-hot start during the game, but things got a little dramatic during the last 10 minutes of the game. 18,693 fans piled into T-Mobile Arena May 4th to watch Game 5 of the Golden Knights vs. Sharks series. The most notable change to this game that the fans probably noticed: the lineup. The change came with the reunion of David Perron, Eric Haula, and James Neal on the second line, and Oscar Lindberg, who was making his first playoff appearance with the Knights.
Just trying to, come in and play with energy, and it felt fresh, and it was a fun game to play. First couple of shifts, you're just trying to feel the pace and everything like that. But as soon as I got that out of the way, it felt good.
Coach Gerard Gallant says that there is a reason for all the changes.
I want competitive guys in there playing tonight, and when you lose a game, sometimes you go through with your coaching staff and you look around and say, you know what, Lindbergh's been really good in practice, working hard. Carpenter's he's a good player for us all year long, and he missed a couple of games here, and then Spiza was due to get back in their lineup sooner or later, so I thought all of them performed really well tonight, and it was a good night for them.
And the changes obviously worked. The Knights started gaining a lead when James Neal scored the first goal of the night, with only 3 seconds left in the first period.
Up high, Theodore shot blocked the rebound. James Neal!
Alex Tuck also added 2 goals, while Eric Haula added 1 of his own. The tables then seemed like they would turn when San Jose scored 3 consecutive goals during the last 10 minutes of the game, and in a desperate attempt to tie the game, they pulled their goalie, only to have Jonathan Marchessault score the last goal of the game on an empty net, giving Vegas a 5-3 win.
Ricochets around Marchessault, empty net, bullseye! Game number 5 to the Vegas Golden Knights.
I think you move forward. It's normal that they're going to have push at a certain time. It's 4-0. They don't have much going on, and we took a penalty, ended up in our net, and then they just kind of created little by little there, and one fluky goal. Obviously we didn't want to do that, but it happened, and we got to find a way to move past that. We got the win, and that's what matters.
If the Knights continue to play like they did in this game, we might see a few more attendance records before this thing is over. For the Rebel Report, I'm Lupita Negrete.
So come back to 2 guys.
The Knights, of course, beat San Jose in Game 6, sending VGK to the Western Conference Finals. And even though this is our last full broadcast of the semester, you can bet we'll continue to cover the Knights' playoff run on all our social media channels.
So yeah, sticking with the Knights, the brand of the first major league team ever to hit Las Vegas was met with some initial resistance Not as much resistance as UNLV's new logo, but resistance nonetheless. However, winning cures all, and as Nyshawn Zaragoza explains, it seems the Golden Knights logo is doing just fine with fans.
A team's logo is the face of a franchise. It's the first thing people see when they go to a game, and it's the identity the fans will resonate with. So when the Golden Knights announced their team name and logo in 2016, saying fans were unhappy would be an understatement, though team owner Bill Foley assured that the fans they would get used to it.
Well, at first, I was like everybody else, I didn't like it, but after going to the games and seeing what they did with the name and the logo and all the theatrics involved, I think it turned out perfect.
In 2018, only a year and a half after the logo reveal, it seems Bill Foley was right, and fans have warmed up to the logo after all. With Golden Knights gear being among the best-selling merchandise in the NHL, fans rocking their gear at work, school, and especially at the Fortress.
It's nice to have like a professional team, so I think it's brought the whole city together in a very like different way. I think people who didn't even know about hockey, now they're all like hockey fans. Yeah.
I didn't like it first. The fact that they called it just Vegas was kind of odd to me. I thought it, being from Las Vegas, it should be Las Vegas, but now it doesn't bother me as much.
Love it or hate it, the Golden Knights logo has become a fashion statement in Vegas. For the Rebel Report, my name is Nyshawn Zaragoza.
The Golden Knights are killing the game. I wear the logo anytime. John Casagnino, of course, you need to buy us some logos. Go Knights!
Yeah, John, I want a jersey. Now, have you ever wondered what happens with some of our UNLV athletes after they graduate? Our very own Jafar Robso gets the scoop on life after graduation for a former Lady Rebel still helping out her team here on campus.
Nia Bell spent her college career as the starting point guard for UNLV, and it looks like her name will remain on the Lady Rebels roster as she transitions from the top of the key to the team's sideline as an assistant coach on the UNLV staff.
Hey Rebel Report fans, I'm here with women's assistant coach Nia Bell, and we're going to go 94 feet with her, so you don't want to miss this. So just tell me a little bit about yourself and why you decided to become an assistant coach.
So I started playing basketball like later than everybody else, but once I started, I fell in love with the game, and all throughout high school, I knew I wanted to be a coach. And then when I came here and played for our coaches, they're my family. They're my second family. So it was a natural fit when the position opened up, and I applied for it, and I got the job, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made so far.
And we know that you're the first recruit under Kathy Olivier. Tell me more about that. What were your options?
I had a lot of options actually, but for me, it was really important to stay home because at the time, a lot of kids from Vegas, a lot of the top players from Vegas weren't staying home, wasn't giving UNLV a shot, and I like to think that I've had a part in opening that door, allowing those top players to feel comfortable with staying here.
I want to thank Nia Bell for coming, doing 94 feet with us. I didn't ask this question, but what do you have for your future endeavors? Would you like to be a head coach?
That is the goal. Right now, I'm still in the phase where I'm trying to learn as much as possible. I'm trying to grow as a coach as well. So in this phase, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, but eventually you guys will see me on the sidelines running my own team one day. So that's the goal.
All right, you heard it here from Rebel Report.
Nia Bell is still currently on the UNLV staff and plans to be a head coach within a few years.
At UNLV, we have some pretty nice facilities where athletes get to practice and compete. But have you ever wondered where all these names like Thomas and Mack, Fertitta, and Peter Johan come from?
Megan Platt and I give you a quick history lesson on some of UNLV's athletic facilities.
UNLV takes pride in all the sports that it offers, but also all the sports facilities that it's home to.
But with so many facilities, it's kind of hard to keep track of what the names mean, so we're here to help you figure that out.
Thomas and Mack. Probably the most well-known building on campus. It opened its doors in 1983. The opening gala included Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Diana Ross. It's named after two Nevada bankers.
The Frank and Vicky Fertitta Tennis Complex. Yes, the same Fertitta family that owns the Golden Nugget and UFC. The tennis complex is one of the top tennis complexes in the world for college-level students, and it houses 12 courts.
Eller Media Stadium. Since 2002, it's been home to Rebel Baseball, built with funds from the Eller Media Company.
Peter Johann Memorial Field was the first on-campus soccer facility, named after the late son of Kenneth F. Johann, who was a businessman in Las Vegas for over 40 years.
Buchanan Natatorium, the school's swimming pool, opened in 1975, named after Nevada Region's James L. Bucky Buchanan II, who was an avid swimmer.
Earl E. Wilson Baseball Stadium, home of the Hustlin' Rebels, was opened in 1994 with funds from a donation from Hazel Wilson on behalf of Earl Wilson, her late husband, a businessman.
Well, Megan, I think we did a pretty good job summarizing all this up.
Well, I hope you can impress your friends with how much knowledge you know of UNLV sports. For the Rebel Report, I'm Megan Platt.
And I'm Lupita Negrete.
Well, I sure feel smarter after watching that. Maybe next time we can get someone to go and do all the professional ones around Vegas.
That would take a long, long time. Do you like Fortnite? Well, what if I tell you that you can win money by playing it? That was the case for Ninja 2018. Here's Jafar Robso with a scoop on how people build forts.
Competitors came across the country to play against one of the top gamers in Ninja here at Esports Arena at the Lexor. The new 30,000 square foot multi-level arena is set up to host all forms of competitive gaming, which was no shocker why Ninja picked Vegas for his world tour. Ninja, known to the world as the guy who plays the popular game known as Fortnite with rapper Drake and other celebrities, is making quite the buzz in the gaming world. Players who wanted in on this event could walk away $5,000 richer, as there was a bounty placed on Ninja's Fortnite character's head. However, to play in the tournament, players would need to pay $75 and be able to use a computer.
I would do it if I had the chance, but they're already sold out, so yeah. And I play on Xbox.
Every heat consisted of 3 games. The first heat, the crowd rallied behind Ninja as he tried to take players out to win money for a charity of his choosing. Unfortunately, he did not win as a player named Blind took him out, winning a total of $5,000.
He didn't only win $2,500 for the bounty on my husband Ninja's head. He won $5,000 total because he killed Ninja and he won the entire game blind.
Watching Blind, what he just did, I think it's a little bit higher because yesterday Ninja didn't even win really. I heard that he lost almost all his games, but I also have Myth in my heat, so that's a really hard.
Ninja continued to try and rain havoc, but still came up short, losing all 3 games in his first heat. For the Rebel Report, I'm Jafar Robso.
That was awesome. Maybe we should try Fortnite and next time apply to play against Ninja. Blind, if you're watching this, please pay my college tuition.
And my tuition too, actually.
So Clark County Spring Mountain Youth Camp is a facility that takes troubled youth and gives them a place to go while they're still on probation.
The camp started a boxing program and then partnered with City Athletic Boxing to give kids an outlet. We get to take a look into the development of this program.
I'm a juvenile justice probation officer, and years ago I boxed at the University of Nevada, Reno. And at that time I discovered how beneficial boxing was to just total development, physical, emotional, spiritual. The boxing program started as a result of needing more program elements at camp. The program became very successful. A lot of youth initially, they want to come into the program thinking they're going to learn how to fight better. But the end result is that they learn how to work together, that they learn that boxing is not about fighting as much as it is about being disciplined and dedicated. Youth who have issues in the community with education and finding a job, who may have some issues with the family. And in programming, I found that through athletics, education, and vocational training, that youth are able to make positive turns in their life. I knew what Armin was wanting to do in the community, and he had a willingness to want to work with at-risk kids, to be able to train them, allow them free membership, and work with them in conjunction with what we were doing in the Spring Mountain program.
When we went up to the Spring Mountain Youth Camp, we had the same feeling for the kids up there as we had for ourselves because Bo went through something that was just horrendous. So we figured once they get released, they get a free membership from us, come into the gym, get to know different people, get to know yourself more than anything else.
It's made me, it molded me to who I am today. Because inside, I've always had the abilities, I feel like, to push myself to the limit, to go that extra mile when you're tired or when something gets hard. Boxing is what took that out of me.
The kids at Spring Mountain graduate from the program and continue their boxing at City Athletic. Stephen Carson is the first graduate of the program. What an awesome nonprofit in the works.
You can visit our YouTube page to see a more in-depth look at this story.
Sticking with combat sports, one of the most recognizable faces in the UFC lives here and works in Las Vegas. I got a chance to catch up with Forrest Griffin at the UFC gym only the pros can use that he helped design.
So Forrest Griffin is one of the greatest of all time in the UFC. It was 10 years ago that he won the UFC light heavyweight title. Today, he helped develop the UFC Performance Institute. Since the planning began for the 30,000 square foot facility, the Vice President of Athlete Development has been a major factor.
I had a big influence in making it, so I have made it, and I continue to make it the best for the fighter. So what exactly do athletes need? What would I have wanted? What's going to make these guys better? What's going to elongate their careers, reduce injury, allow them to compete as often as they want, and allow them to, in the end, make more money and be healthier when they retire out of the sport.
Forrest graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in criminal justice and was a police officer for Richmond County Sheriff's Office in Augusta, Georgia. His career exploded at UNLV's own Cox Pavilion in UFC's first Ultimate Fighter show. His fight against Stephan Bonnar is widely regarded as the most influential fight in MMA history due to it launching the UFC into what it is today. Fighting Rampage Jackson to win the light heavyweight championship to his trilogy fights with Tito Ortiz, Forrest has always been a force in the UFC, and he brings that discipline into his current career.
I was ahead of everything. I had a physical therapist, I had a good nutritionist, I had a good strength coach, and I had great skill coaches. But what I didn't have is anybody to put it together. I was kind of the keeper, and I had all these people, so I showed up and I did this practice as hard as I could, and then I was broken down by the end of the week. I didn't make it to Wednesday. I'm like, man, I'm not doing something right. So I had no programming, no periodization, no understanding of, long-term linear fashion to try and grow and develop as a fighter to peak at the right time.
Present day, Forrest might be participating and overseeing entire training camps on site, and the UFC has over 560 fighters on the roster, and all of them have the sweetest membership imaginable, including a top-notch cafeteria free of charge. So Forrest is an author. He's already written 2 books, but it doesn't look like a third one's going to come because he's pretty busy with the wife and family and training a bunch of athletes here at the UFC Performance Institute. For the Rebel Report, this is Casey Carpenter.
So Forrest might also be caught teaching women's self-defense classes locally in his spare time. He actually came outside and was there when I was filming my stand-ups, but he was of little help. I wound up having John Castagnino beat me into submission in the parking lot. Let's send it over to our final panel discussion of the semester.
Welcome to the last panel discussion of Season 5. I'm Naomi Brown, and with me today I have Marcos, Haley, and Brandon. Starting off with Marcos, the Vegas Golden Knights, they made the Western Conference Finals. What can you tell us about how they got there, how they're doing as a team, and what we can expect in the finals?
For this postseason, I think Fleury has definitely been the X factor for the Golden Knights. Out of the 10 games he's played, he's won 8. He's lost only 2. He's the best goalie with the highest percentage saves in the whole postseason with .951. Out of 344 shots, he saved 327. So I definitely think Fleury is the X factor for the Golden Knights. Now, when it comes to who would be the best team to play against the Knights, I want to say Nashville.
would be the best team, but statistically speaking, they're playing in Winnipeg, and so far the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets are playing the Game 7, and out of the 170 games played in the whole NHL, in Game 7, 100 wins have been for the home team and 70 have been for the visiting team. And so it's gonna be a tough game, definitely, for Nashville and Winnipeg. But statistically speaking, whoever scores first has had a better chance of advancing. Yeah. So I want to say it boils down to whoever scores first. Right. Speaking of stats, but personally, I would say Nashville would be the team to play against the Knights.
Yeah, you know, the Golden Knights being a new team in the NHL, but they also have a lot of experienced players, so good luck to them in the finals. Moving on to Haley, and you know, later on you guys can chime in after I ask Haley her thoughts on this, but there have been recent issues in the NFL, especially in Washington with the Redskins, with cheerleaders in the NFL. Can you give us some context on that issue and what's going on with that?
Yes, so recently the New York Times published an article. 5 former Washington Redskins cheerleaders came forward and said that in 2013 they filmed a calendar photo shoot in Costa Rica, and that they were told to photograph themselves topless even though they didn't want to. And then at that event, there were higher-up execs, and it's alleged that the president and vice president of the Washington Redskins were there at the photo shoot, and they, not necessarily the president and the vice president, but other higher execs that were involved with the team selected certain girls to be their escorts at a nightclub. And the representatives and managers for these women were not told to have sex with these men, but they were like, it's your job to make them happy. Right. And I mean, it's been, you know, there's always been scandals around cheerleaders in the NFL, whether it's what they can post on social media, to their appearance, to how and who they talk to, and even their pay. They're not paid much. It's been alleged that most of them make below minimum wage, so they're basically treated poorly, and they're being told, you're here for your sex factor. You're not here because you're a valuable dancer. You're not here because you've proven yourself. You're not here because you're a part of a team. You're here to be here for men. And honestly, as the Me Too movement has swept through Hollywood, I'm unsurprised that it's finally hitting the sports world, but I'm just concerned that it won't be taken seriously because now 2 other former cheerleaders have stepped forward and said that that never happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. I agree that it was kind of just a matter of time that it came into sports, but that's crazy to hear, and thank you for sharing that. Brandon, talking about Brooke Johnson, you know, you've done story on her this season. What can you tell us about her in signing with the Aces?
Yeah, she's just been working hard. Like you said earlier, I did do a story on her, and she was just telling us how much she was working with training with them before. So she was telling us how she was eating, what she was doing to get prepared for this. So this is huge for her. So yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. Someone from UNLV making it big with the Aces. That's it for this panel discussion. Thank you guys for joining me for the last panel discussion of Season 5. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thanks, guys, for the panel. Now come join us. Come. Now, we sometimes criticize our teams on campus for fumbling on the field, but we sometimes fumble ourselves.
Sometimes? Maybe all the time. Let's take a look at Season 5 Rebel Report Blooper Reel.
Hi, I'm Casey Carpenter, and this is Jafar Robso, Brandon McCoy. And here at the Rebel Report, Brandon McGregory. So Jesse's getting ready to fight Adrian Broner on April 21st at the Barclays.
So you can find the schedule for the classes online or here.
Signified. What do I keep saying signified for? I'm here at the Frank and Vicky Fertitta Tennis Complex. This ended the Rebels' 3-game mini match. We're not on FM today, huh?
No, we're on HD2. No one's gonna listen to this. When the Golden Knights, and especially Marc-Andre Fleury, shut out the San Jose Sharks.
Whoa, solid. Do it again. Go ahead.
John, I'm only solid.
It's just that I really don't care about you at all.
Game time! Yeah! I can't be stopped!
Dude, don't curse!
Oh! I said.
The Golden Knights' last regular season game today is Saturday, April 7th, taking on the Calgary Flames in Calgary. Michaela, how are we going to take down these Flames? I'll tell you!
This kid, we're Spirit. The school swimming pool. Oh, there's a bee! There's a bee. Buchanan Natatorium. There's the plane.
That was really hot.
It opened its doors in 1983. You were like, I didn't mean to hit you. Oh my god. But he said it's home to. Okay. 3, 2, wait, there's a plane.
3. You can catch the running rebels back. I say running and John's gonna kill me. Am I lined up good? I always have to count to 3, so don't think I'm crazy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We're at the City National Arena at the Golden Knights store at the Arsenal. Trying to.
Esports Arena here in Las Vegas. Esports Arena hosted Ninja 18, where competitors took their chance against Ninja and for cash prize. Aztecs, and they had the victory. For the Rebel Report, just cut it.
While the running rebels who are right behind us are playing in their own Mountain West tournament. Esports. No, that's not right. This is a win for esports. Wait, I want to do one more. This event isn't a. Marcos just keeps sighing behind the camera.
The Rebels football team is back on the practice field. What the heck? Oh my gosh. 676. 6, 7. Sorry.
Hey!
No, you have to do it again. I mean, you're good as in go again.
Okay, I got it now.
I can't do it.
I did it perfectly.
No. Bands who help. Okay.
It's not even gonna go far, guys.
That was awkward.
That was so awkward. Thanks, Coach Kate. Can we start over? Sorry.
Sure can.
Out on the field, but where you've been covering.
Great, let's start again. Okay, let's start again. For crying out loud, this always happens every semester.
You won't want us to miss us making fools of ourselves, except for me.
But first, we've got playoff fever. This is our first playoff as a team. Do I continue still?
And that's it for season 5 of the Rebel Report. I'm sad to say goodbye, but I'm happy to walk across that graduation stage.
I know, I think I'll be decorating my cab. Golden Knights logo.
You know what? That just reminds me, I'm gonna have to get John Castagnino to autograph my cab. John, I'm gonna miss texting you more than your wife.
The Rebel Report. The Rebel Report will be tweeting and posting over the summer, so make sure you don't miss out on following our social media platforms. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Rebel Report UNLV and Instagram Rebel Report UNLV_UNLV. See you in the fall one last time for the Rebel Report. Lupita.
Bye.
Casey.
No. You're supposed to win.